Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Kovac Enterprises, where we are working on the Atom 12 project for the CP101 Appreciation Group Build, which is hosted by Kenny May and Daniel Leroy. Alright, got a lot of stuff that we've been working on the bench, so let's get started here. Right now, what you see in front of you is from where we left off. We went ahead and installed the engine into the chassis and engine compartment, so that is all set and ready to go, along with all the other components that makes up the engine. So that is done, and of course, as we turn it over here, we basically went ahead and did the underside of the chassis as well. So all the components are put in place with the mufflers and the leaf springs and so forth. Drive shaft all have been painted now and ready to go for the next step in this process. So right now I'm just going to basically leave this as it is for right now, because I actually moved on to phase 2, which I basically was talking about at the end of my last video with the Smooth On products. I'm going to kind of bring this back up here for kind of remind you. These are the starter sets that I bought. That's the this in particular is the Mold Star series, Mold Star 16 Fast for the platinum silicone rubber. Let me kind of raise this up a little bit. Okay, there you go. All right, so my idea was again to make some of my own resin parts from the original kits that I'm going to be borrowing from each of the 3 kits. And so with that being said, let me show you what I've done. Alright, we'll go ahead and bring this forward. And we'll kind of raise this up a little bit and down. Alright, so the parts you see here in front of you, there's actually 5 main parts that I was working with. Kind of tilt it up a little bit. This is pertaining to the radio communications devices that are for the inside of the interior bucket for the Ford Interceptor. We have basically the 5 parts consists of the radio base, the radio transmitter and receiver, the mic, and the speaker. And what I wanted to do is to make a one mold out of this, so that I could cast these resin parts for my Atom 12 build. So basically the process of doing this, from watching a lot of other YouTube channels, is I basically place it here on the smooth surface of this base that I'm working on here, and I got them spread out about, you know, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And I actually took one of my Jello cups, it's plastic, and I fitted it over the items I wanted to mold. And then I cut a hole. Let me get a kind of pointer here. And I cut I cut an opening here on the top, so that when it was time to pour the mold in, it just go in from the top and level itself out to as high as I needed it to go. But with that being said, once I put this on top, I took the glue gun and I glued all around the perimeter of the cup. Once that was done, I went ahead and mixed up the 1-to-1 ratio for the silicone rubber, and mixed it all together, and I went ahead and basically poured it into the top, let it level itself out, and waited for 30 minutes to cure. And this is what I end up with. Okay, so So this are like our 5 molds of the items, and once that was done, we went ahead and took care of the next step, which would have been the liquid plastic, which is what I used here is a smooth cast 320, and kind of bring that up a little bit. And this is basically the same thing, 1:1 by volume. And I measured out the 2 in 2 separate cups, mixed it into 1 cup, mixed it around. It has a 3-minute pot life. And once that was done, then I went ahead and poured the resin into my mold. And it takes about 10 minutes to cure. And then when everything was said and done, we basically came up with, here's the resin copy for the speaker, and this is the resin copy of the radio base. In a little while here I'm going to show you the copies of the radio transmitter and receiver that I've already painted and glued into the underside of the dashboard of the interior bucket. But you can see the nice details and everything that this generated. So there you go. Alright. So I also, speaking of making molds and castings, I tried my hand at a 2 mold. Now this is a 2 mold process, basically the same step as a 1 mold, but in this round we basically, from what it says, is a 2 mold piece. And we went ahead and used the shotgun for a test run, since I've never done this before. And like I said before, we basically went through the same process. And once that was done, I'll show you right now. This is the actual master or original one that I used. And after everything was said and done, we came up with the resin version. So like I said, pretty good detail all the way around for a first attempt. So now I have a second shotgun that I can use if I need to. And of course I can make multiple copies off of our 2-piece mold. And we'll go ahead and put that back in place. Alright. So next thing I want to address is the actual interior bucket that I've been working on. And here it is. Now this is from the interior bucket of the Roadrunner car. And I'll kind of turn this over real quick just to kind of show you. Now this hole here represents where there's supposed to be a stick shift coming up through the console on this side. But since we're dealing with the Adam 12 vehicle, we do not need a stick shift down the center console. So what I ended up doing was taking the steering wheel and drilling a little hole on the side of the column and actually using a paper clip for the gear shift. So that was the one modification I did. And if we can get in here, hopefully it stays in focus. But you'll notice the radio transmitter and the receiver is now glued together. These are the actual resin parts. Kind of show you right here. And we also scratch built the microphone because the mic that I was trying to duplicate didn't work out. So I thought it'd just be easier to take some epoxy sculpt and make a mic head for it, and then I took some magnet wire, wrapped it around a toothpick, and to coil it up a little bit, and that was my cord to go from the mic into the radio itself. And then we went ahead and took care of the hot sheet. It's like a little laptop pull down desk area, and I actually took the Adam 12 decals, one of the decals I'll show you right here, I took one of the hot sheet decals, which was to fit the scale, and I cut the size of a scratch built styrene sheets and made up a little hot sheet table desk area. So there you go. And once that was done, I actually attached it to the dashboard. Now the decal itself, I had a hard time having it stick to the styrene plastics, but what I found out and what I used was actually I brushed on some Future Florax polish, and then I attached the decal to it, and then once that was set, I reapplied some Future over the top of it. So that helped keep the decal in place. So there you go. That's one of the main parts that I used for getting this interior bucket squared away to get as close as a resemblance to what the TV show had for inside the car. So, and of course, everything was futured to seal in the paint, and so that's where we stand with the interior bucket. So, like I said, with that being said, we're moving along, and I think my next thing I might be doing here shortly is to start laying out the outline for the 4-door, because as you know, this is a 2-door for the Roadrunner. So I'm kind of marking the lines where it needs to go with tape, and I'm going to start scribing in some panel lines shortly. But like I said, this is where we're at right now, and stay tuned. There will be more to come, and until next time, I hope everybody has a good weekend, and we will catch you on the next video. Until then, have a good day. Bye.